You may think bath time is one of the safest, most loving things you do for your dog. Warm water, fresh shampoo, a clean coat, a little extra care. But here is the uncomfortable truth. Some of the most preventable dog injuries happen during grooming and bathing, not because owners are careless, but because they are trying to help without realizing how easy it is to get small detail wrong. Veterinary articles and grooming safety guidance warn that preventable mistakes can lead to eye injuries, skin irritation, ear problems, overheating cuts, and even serious post-grooming infections. The Animal Medical Center, and that is what makes this topic so important. Most people do not hurt their dogs because they are rough or neglectful. They hurt them because they assume it's just a bath. How dangerous could it be? But the dog's body experiences bath time very differently. The eyes are sensitive. The ears trap moisture. The skin has a different pH than ours. Their nervous system can become stressed by noise-restraint slippery floors or blasts of hot air. What feels routine to us can feel physically overwhelming to them. Pet MD. Take shampoo, for example. One careless splash in the eye can become more than a little discomfort. The Animal Medical Center describes a case in which shampoo exposure during grooming was linked to a painful corneal ulcer. That means something many owners would dismiss as a tiny accident can quickly turn into real pain and days of treatment. And then there is the skin. AMC also describes post-grooming furunculosis, a serious bacterial skin infection associated with contaminated shampoo, where a dog became lethargic and required hospitalization after grooming. That is not meant to frighten you. It is meant to remind you that good intentions do not always protect a dog from bad technique or unsafe products. The Animal Medical Center. Then there is the dryer, which may be one of the most underestimated risks of all. PetMD notes that home blow drying can increase the risk of skin burns because it is difficult to regulate airflow temperature, and the noise itself can also make the experience more stressful for many animals. AMC goes even further, warning that dogs have died when left unattended in hot air-drying cages, with brachycephalic dogs at especially high risk of overheating. So, if you have ever thought, I'll just dry them quickly and get it over with, it is worth slowing down and reconsidering. Faster is not always kinder. Sometimes safer means gentler, cooler, quieter, and far less forceful than people expect. Pet MD. And some dangers happen before the water even starts. Matted fur, overgrown nails, and tangled coats tempt many owners to fix it themselves in a hurry, but rushed at-home grooming can go wrong fast. AMC warns that home mat removal with scissors is particularly dangerous, and describes a case where a pet ended up in the ER with a deep laceration after an owner tried to cut out mats. Pet MD also warns that brushing through mats can be painful, and some grooming tools can nick the skin and contribute to infection when used improperly. So the issue is not whether you love your dog enough to groom them yourself. The issue is whether the method respects how fragile skin, ears, and stress responses really are. The Animal Medical Center. Bathing too often can be a problem too, which surprises many loving owners. PetMD notes that overbathing can strip the natural oils from a dog's coat and contribute to dry skin and irritation. And using the wrong shampoo makes that worse. Human shampoo. Even baby shampoo is not ideal for dogs because canine skin has a different pH balance. PetMD specifically warns that human shampoos can be drying for pets and advises using products formulated for dogs. So yes, cleanliness matters, but more is not always better. In dog care, overdoing something can be just as harmful as neglecting it. PetMD. The good news is that the lesson here is not, don't bathe your dog. The lesson is, do it with more understanding. Protect the eyes. Keep water out of the ears as much as possible. Use dog-specific shampoo. Do not rush through mats with scissors. Be careful with dryers. Watch your dog's body language. If they are trembling, panting, freezing up, trying to escape, or shutting down, that is not bad behavior. That may be their nervous system saying this does not feel safe. And when we learn to read that moment correctly, we stop turning care into stress without meaning to. Pet MD. Because at the heart of all of this is something very human. Love can still cause harm when it is uninformed. Not because the heart is wrong, but because the method is. And maybe that is why this conversation matters so much. Your dog does not need a perfect spa routine. They need thoughtful care. They need someone willing to learn what helps, what hurts, and what their body has been trying to say all along. The bath itself is not the danger. The danger is assuming it is too simple to do wrong. And once you let go of that assumption, you become a safer guardian almost immediately. The Animal Medical Center. So if you have ever thought, I'm just trying to keep my dog clean, that instinct is good. Keep it. But pair it with knowledge. Because one of the most loving things you can do for your dog is not just to care for them, but to care for them in a way their body can actually trust. Here is one of the most dangerous bath time mistakes dog owners make, and most of them have no idea they are doing it. A little water slips into the ear. The dog shakes once or twice. You dry the fur towel the head and move on. It feels harmless, minor, easy to ignore. But inside a dog's ear, that small moment can become the beginning of a much bigger problem. The reason starts with anatomy. A dog's ear canal is not built like ours. It has a vertical section and then turns inward into a horizontal section. An L-shaped path that makes it much harder for trapped material to simply drain back out on its own. Veterinary guidance specifically notes that the structure of the dog's ear canal makes it difficult for material trapped deep in the horizontal canal to be expelled without cleaning. VCA. And once water gets trapped there, the environment becomes exactly what bacteria and yeast love: warm, dark, enclosed, and moist. VCA explains it very simply. After swimming or bathing, trapped water in the ear canal can contribute to an overgrowth of bacteria and yeast, leading to infection. That means the danger is not just wet ears. The danger is what wet ears can turn into when moisture stays where it should not. VCA. This is why some dogs seem completely fine right after a bath, and then a day or two later, something changes. They begin shaking their head more than usual. They scratch at one ear. They rub the side of the face along the carpet. A strange smell appears. The ear looks red. Maybe there is dark discharge. Maybe they cry when you touch the side of the head. These are not random little annoyances. They are some of the classic warning signs of an ear infection, VCA. And if that infection is ignored long enough, it may not stay in the outer ear. Merck and VCA both note that infection can extend deeper into the middle and inner ear. When that happens, the consequences become far more serious. Balance problems, head tilt, abnormal eye movements, facial nerve paralysis, and hearing deficits can all appear. Merck specifically notes that inflammation spreading to the inner ear can lead to loss of balance and deafness. Merck Veterinary Manual. That does not mean every wet ear leads to permanent damage. It does not. But it does mean this is not a myth invented to scare people. It is a real veterinary issue with a real biological pathway. And in rare but important cases, infection associated with the inner ear can become even more dangerous. Merck and VCA both note that infections can spread to the central nervous system from the inner ear. That is not the common outcome, but it is one more reason not to treat recurrent ear problems casually. Merck Veterinary Manual. So what makes this mistake so heartbreaking is not cruelty. It is innocence. Most people who accidentally let water run into the ears are trying to do something loving. They're washing a muddy dog, cleaning up after a walk, giving care. But dogs do not experience good intentions the same way their bodies experience trapped moisture. The ear does not know you meant well. It only knows that the canal stayed wet. And that is where better care begins. not with fear but with understanding. When bathing your dog, avoid directing water pressure into the ear opening. Be especially careful with dogs who already have allergies, chronic ear issues, or floppy ears because they may be more prone to otitis. If your dog is one of those dogs, even a small amount of trapped moisture can be enough to tip the balance. Some veterinary dermatology education materials also note that moisture is particularly problematic when inflammation is already present, because the warm ear canal can act like an incubation chamber for bacteria. CVMA. And if signs begin after a bath, do not wait too long hoping it will dry up on its own. A dog that keeps shaking, scratching, tilting the head, or showing pain around the ear is not being dramatic. They may be dealing with a problem that is already getting deeper. That is why this lesson matters so much. Bathing your dog is not dangerous in itself. Doing it without understanding the ear canal can be. A few drops may not look like much, but in the wrong place at the wrong time, those drops can turn into inflammation, infection, pain, sleeplessness, and in more severe cases, neurologic or hearing complications. VCA. So if there is one thing to remember from this video, let it be this. Your dog's ears are not a minor detail of bath time. They are one of the places where almost right can quietly become very wrong. And sometimes the most loving thing you can do is protect the places your dog cannot explain are hurting until it is too late. Here's a bath time mistake that sounds almost harmless but can quietly hurt your dog before you even realize it. Most owners test the water with their hand, feel that it seems fine, and assume everything is safe. It feels logical. It feels responsible. And it is exactly the kind of thing a loving owner would do. But the problem is this: your hand is not your dog's skin. Veterinary sources note that dogs have thinner, more sensitive skin than humans, and VCA specifically advises using warm water while remembering that puppies in particular may be more sensitive to temperature extremes than you are. VCA. That changes everything, because water that feels comfortable enough to you may still be too warm for your dog, especially over more delicate areas of the body. PetMD warns that hot water can dry out the skin and worsen inflammation, which means a bath that is meant to soothe can actually irritate the skin barrier instead. And when that irritation shows up later as pinkness, dryness, or tenderness, many owners assume it must be an allergy or shampoo reaction, when in reality, the water temperature itself may have been part of the problem. PetMD. This is where good intentions can quietly become bad technique. A dog cannot tell you, "That's too hot." They cannot pull your hand into the water and compare it with their own skin. All they can do is tense up, shift their body, try to step away, tremble, or become strangely still. And because many dogs freeze, rather than fight, owners often miss the warning. They assume the dog is being good or standing still nicely, when sometimes the dog is simply enduring something uncomfortable. That is why bath time safety is not just about cleanliness. It is about reading the body in front of you. And remember, dogs do not experience their skin the same way we do. Merck states clearly that dog skin is thinner and more sensitive than human skin. That means temperature, friction, harsh products, and drying methods can affect them more quickly than many people expect. It also explains why after a bath, a dog may show redness, itching, or discomfort, even when nothing about the routine seemed extreme from the human perspective. Merck Veterinary Manual. The dryer is part of this story too. Many owners think the danger ends once the bath is over. It doesn't. The Animal Medical Center warns that home blow dryers can get hot enough to burn a pet's tender skin, and PetMD advises that you should never use a hot hair dryer on a dog. In other words, even if the water itself was only slightly too warm, following it with hot forced air can make sensitive skin even more irritated. So if your dog comes out of the bath and later seems itchy, restless, or red on the belly, or other delicate areas, it may not be random. It may be the body reacting to heat stress during grooming. The Animal Medical Center. And this matters even more, because some body regions are naturally more exposed and vulnerable. PetMD notes that dogs commonly get sunburn on thinner, more exposed areas, like the belly and groin, which tells us something important. Those lower, lightly protected areas are not trivial. They are places where skin stress shows up fast. So when warm water runs over the belly during a bath, what feels mild to your hand may feel much stronger to the dog's body. PetMD. So what should you do instead? Think warm, not hot. Think lukewarm and gentle, not spa temperature. VCA's grooming guidance says dogs should typically be bathed in warm water for comfort and effective cleaning, and specifically warns that puppies may be more sensitive than you are. A safer approach is to test the water, then mentally lower your assumption of what is fine. If it feels very warm to you, it may already be too much for your dog. And if your dog has existing skin issues, irritation, allergies, or inflamed skin, even more caution matters, because heat can worsen inflammation rather than calm it. VCA. The bigger lesson here is not be afraid of bathing your dog. It is this: do not let familiarity make you careless. The most common bath time injuries rarely come from cruelty. They come from confidence, from assuming that a quick human test is enough, from forgetting that your dog's skin is not built like yours, from thinking redness after a bath is always just a little allergy, when sometimes it is the body's way of saying that was too much for me. And maybe that is what responsible love really looks like. Not panic, not perfection, just slowing down enough to ask better questions. Is the water truly gentle? Is my dog relaxed or just tolerating this? Am I cleaning them in a way their body can trust? Because the truth is, your dog will often endure discomfort silently. And when an animal trusts you enough to stand there while you wash them, that trust deserves more than guesswork. It deserves understanding. So the next time bath day comes, remember this: your hand is only a rough guide. Your dog's skin is thinner, more sensitive, and far less able to shrug off almost too warm than yours is. And sometimes the difference between a safe bath and a painful one is only a few degrees and one more thoughtful pause. Here's the truth: most dog owners never hear until something goes wrong. Bath time can either become a healing ritual or a hidden source of pain. And sometimes the difference comes down to one tiny habit. Not the shampoo, not the towel, not the brush, the water temperature. That sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? But that is exactly why so many people miss it. Most loving owners do what feels natural. They test the water quickly with their hand, decide it feels fine, and move on. No bad intention, no neglect. Just a normal human shortcut. But your dog's body is not experiencing that water the same way your hand is. And that is where the danger begins. When we rush bath time, we often forget that a dog cannot tell us, "That's too hot." They cannot explain that the water feels sharp on the belly, uncomfortable on sensitive skin, or stressful the moment it hits their body. All they can do is tense up, shift their weight, pull away, freeze, or silently endure it. And silence is what makes this so deceptive. Many dogs do not fight back. They simply tolerate discomfort because they trust you. That trust is beautiful. But it also means the responsibility is ours. So let's talk about the fix, because the good news is that this is one of the easiest mistakes to correct. The safest way to check bath water is not with the palm of your hand. It is with the inside of your wrist. That part of the body is much more sensitive and gives you a better sense of whether the temperature is truly gentle enough. If the water feels even slightly too warm, there it is too warm for your dog. What you want is not comfortably hot. What you want is softly warm, neutral, and soothing. Think of it this way: your dog should feel invited into the water, not forced to endure it. And here is the second step that matters just as much. Before you spray water onto the belly, pause and test the stream again on the inside of your wrist. Why? Because the temperature at the tap and the temperature coming out of the hose or sprayer are not always identical. Water can shift. It can suddenly warm up. It can become stronger than expected. And if you go straight to the belly without checking, you may be sending the most sensitive part of your dog's body into a moment of unnecessary stress. That extra second matters. It may feel small, almost excessive, but in reality, that one extra check can be the line between a bath that comforts your dog and a bath that makes them dread the next one. And once a dog starts associating bathing with discomfort, the whole experience changes. They become tense before the water even starts. They resist more. They tremble more. They distrust the process. Then owners assume the dog just hates baths, when the truth may be much sadder. The dog may have learned that bath time does not feel safe. This is why gentle technique matters so much more than people realize. A safe bath is not only about cleaning the coat, it is about protecting the nervous system. It is about making sure your dog's body learns water is okay. This is calm. This is not something I need to fear. And that lesson is built through small, careful choices. The temperature, the pressure of the spray, the pace of your hands, the tone of your voice, the pauses you allow. Sometimes the most loving care is not doing more. It is slowing down enough to do one small thing better. So before the next bath, remember this simple rule. Check the water with the inside of your wrist. Then before the belly, check it one more time. That second check is not overprotective. It is intelligent. It is compassionate. It is the kind of tiny adjustment that can completely change how your dog experiences being cared for. And maybe that is the deeper message here. Real love is often hidden inside details so small that no one else would notice them. A little more patience. A little more sensitivity. One extra pause before you continue. To the outside world, that may seem insignificant, but to your dog it can mean the difference between fear and trust, discomfort and relief, tension and surrender. A healing bath does not begin when the shampoo touches the coat. It begins the moment your dog realizes, I am safe in your hands. So, if you take one thing from this video, let it be. This never assume almost right is good enough when your dog cannot speak for themselves. Test carefully. Pause twice. Protect the sensitive places first, because one small habit repeated with care can turn an ordinary bath into something your dog's body can actually trust. If this helped you see bath time in a new way, please like, subscribe, and share this video with another dog owner who needs to hear it. And I'd love to know in the comments, have you ever noticed your dog tense up during a bath? And what helped them feel calmer?